we are live for Triple T number 104, last Triple T of the year. Holy banana peels, Batman. I can't believe we made it a whole 2 years now. December 26, 2023. Merry past Christmas a little bit, a couple hours. Hope your Christmas was awesome. For those of you that still believe in Santa, hope Santa had you on the good list the right way. I may not have made that list, but that's okay. I can handle it. For those of you just tuning in for the first time, my name is TJ Zebel. I call myself a professional problem solver. I also follow that up quickly with, no, I don't know everything, but I do have a unique way of asking questions, helping people find the answers to the questions they have, finding solutions. If I can't come up with the solution, I do have an amazing tribe of people that I can call upon who are blow my mind all the time with all the things that we can come up with. I have a YouTube channel. Hi, Mom. Those of you joining for the first time out on YouTube land, please do me a favor and do all the YouTube stuff. Click the subscribe, ring the bell, leave comments on your comments, comment on other people's comments. And I also have a website, thetswb.com, thetallskinnywhiteboy.com. That is actually what it stands for. I offer a free 30-minute consultation. So that is your time to connect with me and talk about whatever you want. If you got some challenges, if you got some questions, if you are looking for training, if you're looking for help to get over a number of items, depression, anxiety, PSD, work on relationships, being we're going into a new year, all sorts of stuff, help with those resolutions, and all the other things we're trying to do to improve ourselves. That is your time. If I'm fit, I will let you know. If I am not, I will also let you know, and we will find you somebody that can get your situations addressed as quickly as possible. Also, the second hour of our 2-hour time here on Planet TJ will be open mic, open questions. So have your questions, topics all ready for the second hour. For those of you that are here all the time, have I missed anything? Oh, well, then I get to ask, is there any ahas, epiphanies, cool stuff that you want to share from the last 7 days since we were here? Anybody?
I think I did a lovely job of working myself up into not great state, and then it ended up being totally fine. And then I know we were talking just before the call about being judged by other people and what that means. And that's what I'm going to say for the second hour.
Something to look forward to.
There you go. Cliffhangers.
But you
I'll
said
jump.
you. Oh, please go ahead.
Go first.
And then you were gone.
Polite squirrels. Go for it, Dolly.
Okay, I guess I'll go. So I was just gonna say the thing I learned this week, or I spent a lot of time thinking about just when it comes to like difficult things like diseases, things like that, just kind of the importance of bad things are gonna happen, and sometimes it's better to allow yourself to dip into that stuff so that you can maintain a strong immunity, a strong, and like I said, this could be diseases or not diseases, but rather than trying to protect yourself and hide and make yourself weak, because you're going to get exposed either way. So it's better to just kind of do it from a deliberate place. That's come up a lot this week for me.
That is an entire topic on there that I could dive into and get all sorts of interesting support and hate mail at the same time. I like to give people a hard time with the squirt hand sanitizers that are everywhere now. I always ask them, you know what the number one ingredient is in that? Anybody know?
Fear?
Paranoia.
See, I was so close.
Yes, you are so close. Everybody's like, alcohol. I'm like, oh, no, it's paranoia. But thanks for playing along. Okay, anything else before we go? And I guess we will dive into the topics of the week. As Johnny Carson would say, sealed in an envelope in a mason jar on Funky Wagnall's desk, front porch, I think it was. We have the topics: better resolutions, more alive in 25, and using the mirror. Aha. And I'm sure you guys can
I'm
figure
very
out
intrigued.
what?
I'm very intrigued.
I'm sure you guys have figured out the first one already. With the new year less than a week away, everybody likes to wait until, I'd say, what is it, December 31st, about 5 in the afternoon, to go, oh yeah, what's your resolution? Oh, I don't know. I think I want to eat better. I want to make more money and I want to lose weight. Oh, so nothing's changed for the last 10 years. Okay. When you ask them how they plan on going about it, ever notice how their faces change? Well, why are you asking that? Might help. Have a game plan. And are those really the resolutions that are going to serve you the best? You don't have to be in generic or just come up with resolutions to have resolutions. And I love how a lot of the speakers are like, why do we always wait for January 1st? Why not Tuesday? How about next Wednesday? But as long as we've got the big universal understood, let's do it, we're going to make a better life, something, some way, somehow. How about if we take this week to really sit down and think about, what can I work towards? What can I do to improve my life and the life of those that I come in contact with, and my ability to serve my tribes? Notice I said tribes. In the new year. And when we're doing that, who knows the things that you need for goals? I know somebody who does. Go ahead.
Isn't SMART measurable, achievable, R and then T? Like, yeah, I don't know the rest of it. It spells SMART, so
Yep.
I know measurable and
I
achievable.
had it till you said it.
Let me throw a wrench in there.
Squirrel ran away with it. System, measurable, achievable. That's why I should have written it down.
Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Oh, see, Holly got it. I knew Holly was going to have it. I knew for sure.
There. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So let's go over those. Specific. How specific do you have to be versus what would be considered over specific? And those are the two boundaries that you want to take the time to analyze. Um, is that in part of your New Year's resolution, Kevin?
Say again?
Is that part of your New Year's resolution or I'll let you share that with everybody else if you want, and you don't have to.
Sure. Yeah. Um, so I've been on Tysabri for about 3 years. Tysabri is a disease modifying therapy, and it's an infusion of the medication Tysabri. Um, it's got a fancy medical name, which I'm not going to attempt here now. But it was every 4 weeks, and then I had started to trade off of it to every 5 weeks. But when I'm getting infusions that consistently, um, it starts to really mess up your vasculature. So I had junky veins. I look like a heroin user because it was getting hard to get a poke, and
Uh,
the assistant was having to dig around a lot, and that's I'm
right.
not all about that. And so I talked to my neurologist and said, "Hey, I really am not I can't keep doing this." And he said, "Okay, I'll prescribe you this other medication called Mavenclad, which is I went and looked it up. It's technically a chemotherapy." And I'm like, my lesions are retreating, they're getting smaller and they're shrinking and disappearing. So I'd like to just go 6 months break from the Tysabri, the infusion, and
Yeah.
see how that goes. And as long as I keep on, my eating plan and don't fall down the carb hole and eat a bunch of processed sugar and everything, then I do well, I do better. So I mean
Awesome.
that's incentive, if
Yes,
there ever was.
exactly. And with that, you could take the SMART program, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound,
Hmm.
as to where do you want to be? What would you consider a measurable uh, progress in a certain amount of time? You could also split that into where else can I do research to find out what else I can do um, through whatever forms we have available that we know of and we don't know of, and go after them as well. Hypnosis and Reiki and all sorts of. You're a master at breathing technique, which I'm sure is another amazing help for the body. And
Exactly.
it's interesting how certain people can take a hit, whether physical or whatever, and in that discover a whole new realm of information to help other people. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
The other part in there, like we touched on, specific to a point without being overly specific if you don't have to be, but not being so vague that you could say you achieved it no matter what you did. Measurable, of course, having some type of metric in there, whether, if it's weight loss, what is a specific measurable? Why is that number important? And a lot of times with my athletes and the people that I'm working with that come to me for weight management, I tell them, tell me or describe what you want your body to look like more than what weight you want to see on the scale.
All right.
Because that will help you with what techniques you want to go for. Do you have any restrictions or challenges that you have to also keep in mind? And it may be figuring out how many ways are there to get around it. I've got a client now who pretty much smashed his ankle in a bit of testosterone infused dune buggy riding, shall we say. And that happened about 20 years ago. And as he's aging, he hasn't been exercising as much because his one leg is full of plates and screws and pins. And so I asked him, have you researched how many different forms of exercise you can do that would be conducive to taking care of your leg? So water, yoga, swimming, light swimming. I had another one who had both of her knees replaced, and one she had to have redone twice. And she's a little older than my mother, and doesn't like to exercise because it hurts. But she knows she has to exercise because it hurts. Well, if it's going to hurt if you do nothing, or it's going to hurt if you do something, how much more is it going to hurt doing something, keeping the rest of your body healthy? And will there possibly be a point where you get strong enough that the hurt you are feeling is replaced because of strength and diminished? And so we did some brainstorming, and there's what they call office chair exercises, and designed for people that have to sit all the time. And so they have specific routines for leg lifting and moving that they don't have to stand up, and let people know that they're actually getting some blood moving and strengthening their legs. So again, looking for other things. So in looking for your resolutions, really dig deep and don't allow that negative inner person to tell you why you're not going to achieve it. Last week we talked about problem-based thinkers versus progress-based thinkers. And that may be one of your resolutions as well. Practice becoming a progress-based thinker. Anytime a challenge is brought up, how many potential solutions can you come up with? and challenge yourself to come up with a minimum of 3 as quickly as possible. And you'll find out that the more you focus on that, the more you do it, the quicker it is, the easier it is to come up with solutions after a while. But I will tell you this, when you start thinking that way, you will start to quickly notice the problem-based thinkers. They will be the ones that will give you 3 reasons for each solution as for why it won't work. And they'll come up with them quick because, again, they've been doing it for a while. So they're well versed in the problem-based thinking. Relevant. How relevant can you make your resolution not only for yourself, but to improve those around you? And it's not that you can't have selfish resolutions. You should. But also, when looking at your resolutions, can you think of ways to improve your tribe, improve the community, and in doing so, it's a product of improving yourself. And then time bound. Set a goal date for when this is going to happen, which is very important. A lot of the top speakers have said that a goal without a time date is just a wish. A pretty weak one at best. And more often than not, we've found if you give yourself a year to accomplish something, it'll probably take you 364 and a half days. And if you take that same project and you give yourself 6 months to get it done, it'll take you 5 3/4 months to get it done, give or take a week or 2. And sometimes you take the exact same goal and you give yourself 8 weeks, and miraculously, somehow, you get it done in 7 weeks. So be realistic to a point, and potentially unrealistic as to how long it's going to take you to accomplish those goals. And yes, we know life occurs, life happens, and there will be times where you have to readjust those goals. But at least you have a goal to readjust. Yes, Lenora.
There's a book, it's called the 12-Year Book, and I know even Ed Milet has mentioned this. Because we can do things so much faster these days, that he breaks his one day up into 3 days. And I believe it's every 8 hours, 8, 16, 24. So one day he's sleeping, and another day he's focused on family, and another day he's focused on work. So he breaks his 24 hours up into 3 separate days because he can get so much more done in a shorter period of time. And it's not like we have to send a letter and wait for a reply for a week or something like that, because it's so much faster. And I found that to be really interesting. And then there's a book called The 12-Week Year. Get more done in 12 weeks than others do in 12 months. And I always find that very interesting, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I can definitely get this done. And I'll think it's going to take this huge chunk of time, and I'll procrastinate because I think it's going to take so much time. And then there's other times where I have to literally adjust and go, okay, no, realistically, is this going to take me 4 hours, or is this going to really take me an hour? And I'm just thinking it's going to take me 4 hours. And the Pomodoro method. I know you can set. I love that Kevin's nodding along. Pomodoro timers, especially on YouTube. Type in Pomodoro methods, and you go for 90-minute blocks of getting stuff done. And it could be 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, 25 minutes, take another 5-minute break, and then you get it done in 90 minutes. But what you do in that period of time is you tell people, this is what I'm doing for the next 90 minutes. Do not come near me unless there's blood or fire. And you put your phone somewhere else if you don't need your phone, and you block out and bust out that time. And it's really quite helpful, especially when you have music that is wired to keep you in that we're doing this and only this kind of state. So.
I am so glad you brought up those. I'm guilty of the whole, I can't do it today because it's going to take me 8 hours. Well, I don't have 8 hours today to do it either. I got to get it done, and I dive into it, and in an hour and a half, I've got it done. And I'm like, I put this off for how long? This weekend we had, or this last week, we got company coming for Christmas, and I've been wanting to lay down some more pavers in front of this apartment that I renovated, and putting it off because it's a big challenge, or so I thought. And the other day I just went out and I grabbed some tools and and about 2 hours I had it all taken care of, done. And I'm like, 2 hours. I could have had it done 8 months ago. So again, when we're writing down, focusing on putting together these new resolutions, are we allowing ourselves some form of realistic / unrealistic time frame for it? And I think one thing that we should also add in there, what is your reward for completing it? Some of us are reward driven. And why not? We're worth it. So if, like with what Kevin shared, check in, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. And if progress is either, you can decide, if I'm keeping a complete horizontal, is that achievement? Sometimes it is. If you've dropped had to drop medication and going through what it takes to obtain that medication, and 6 months later nothing's changed, sometimes that's considered an achievement. And you don't want to discredit that. I think a lot of people are like, well, the only way I'm doing all right is if I've had this dramatic positive change. Well, you have to look at, what is the goal? Where have we been? What have we been doing? If we've changed what we're doing and we've maintained something, that's not always a loss. So I wanted to throw that in as well. And any more input, ahas, questions on that before I segue into the topic that kind of ties to it?
I have something real fast.
Yes, please.
Another thing that comes to mind too is the word should and getting rid of the word should. A lot of times, when we're making goals and we're working on them, it's not just about completing the goal. We also think we should do it in a specific way. And so I'm going to judge myself because, I want to reward myself. I'm going to judge myself because I'm more externally motivated, so I need a study buddy or a cleaning buddy or, whatever it may be. It's like, no, if something works for you, leverage what works for you, not what you think should work for you.
I tell people all the time that don't shit on yourself.
Yes. Amen. It leads for a shitty life.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need that. And I'm glad you shared that. Thank you, Holly. If we don't have anything else, the next topic is kind of a segue off of that, and that's more alive in 25. And I know some of you are out there going, TJ, next year is 24. And you are correct. But we're not setting the goal for 24. Set the goal for who are you going to be on January 1st, 2025. Get yourself a day planner. Mine's around here somewhere. I just got myself a new day planner for 24. And you go straight to January 1st, 2025, and write yourself a little story of what happened in 2024. I had so much fun doing this, and write it as though it is January 1st, 2025. Here's what I've achieved. Here's where I'm at. Here's what I'm proud of. Here's what I've done. And then you reverse engineer your 2024. If one of your resolutions for January 1st, 2024 is such and such, what is your time management? What is your time frame to accomplish that? And you go to that day in your day planner and reverse engineer, how was I able to complete this resolution on April 7th? And you work your way back and set little check-in points along the way. How am I doing? Let's get some am I on track? Am I in line with what I need to do? If part of your resolution is you're going to go on a couple of different vacations, well, where are you fitting them in? If you've always wanted to go to Cancun, what's a good time to be in Cancun? What's not a good time to be in Cancun? If you want to go there and save some coin and not deal with the heavy tourist season, then you need to start doing some research and figure out when's the best time to purchase, do your research, best time to purchase your airfare, book your hotel, book any activities you want. And you start planning out your year ahead of time, but you also add that into your story for January 1st, 2025. We had such a great time in Cancun. We went snorkeling. We swam with the dolphins. We took a margarita making class 5 times because the first ones tasted like another. stuff like that. And then you go out and get it done. And there's a talk that, or a video I had referenced a couple of times about the guy said that you try and book one activity a month and one life memorable activity a year. So that what'd you do in 2020? I think that was the year that we went whitewater rafting down the Lower Kern in California, and everybody we went with, except for one, shook hands with Jesus and was told not today. And we got good pictures and good footage, beautiful picture of our raft like this, one person left in it, and my wife's feet are sticking up out of the white water rapids. And I know that I'm underneath the raft already in the spin dry. But I will remember that for the rest of my days. And this guy said you should have one of those a year. Some people have two a year. Right, Lenora? What was 2023 when people ask what you did in 23?
That was the year I hiked near the Matterhorn and the year I did a TEDx.
Yes. So now you get to plan out what are you going to do in 25 or 24 so that you can answer this question on January 1st, 2025.
Very much so.
And I got to figure out some stuff for myself. 2024 was the year that I finished the apartment. And it was the year that I brought my very first car back onto my property. So, and Mom got to ride with me from Minnesota down to Texas. And now I got to figure out what I'm going to do for 24. So this is just as much for me as it is for you guys. And maybe next Triple T, we can you guys can share some of your resolutions. I used to have a boring, vague one. Said I always have the same resolution. I want to pay better. I want to pay better bills. And people are like, "What?" I'm like, yeah, I want to pay better bills. I want to have a better house payment. I want to have a better car payment. I want to, because I've got enough money to pay better bills. Yes, Lenora.
I have a question for the group. How do you deal with disappointment? So I used to hate setting goals. Guys, it wasn't pretty. There was a lot of hate. There was a lot of hostility and a lot of judgment towards setting goals because I would find myself frequently not meeting goals, or if I did, I would downplay them. So how do you deal with if you set out to reach a goal and you don't quite get there, or something happens and it doesn't occur, and for whatever reason you just don't achieve it officially, and you're like, I did it now. How do you manage that disappointment? What are your thought processes? What are the things that you say? How do you work through it? Because I find them to be such a blow that it can really it will really hold me back from setting them.
Oh, if I got an answer, but I want to hear
I'm so glad I see it all over your face because you're so excited.
Okay. Anybody got some answers for Nora quick?
I'll jump in. So a few things. First of all, I think it's important that we actually are recognizing how much we did accomplish. So, like, for instance, the example is, let's say you made a goal to exercise an hour every single day for the next month. And in the next month, you went and exercised for 15 minutes one day. We can look at that as failure to meet the goal, or we could look at it and say, hey, if I hadn't had the goal, I wouldn't even have done the 15 minutes. Look at me, I did more than I would have done. Obviously, there's that saying, there's no failure, only feedback. So going into it, stop and say, what did I learn from this? Okay, what strategies did I use that didn't work? And what has that taught me about my next try that I'm going to tweak so that I can have more success? But you have to celebrate it. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to beat myself up first. Oh, but then let me see if I can pull one lesson. It's when you get done, you've got to also say, congratulations to me for getting that feedback. So celebrate the feedback, celebrate what you learned. Another thing is, I've Matthew Hussey, he probably got this from somebody else, but he talks about a trust bank. If your trust bank is empty, this is your trust bank with yourself, you're going to feel a lot worse than if you have a lot of deposits in your trust bank. So make a lot of really small goals that you know you can keep and build up that trust with yourself. And you can have a goal. Not every goal has to be, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. It could just be, I have a goal today to treat myself to a dessert that I love. And then when you do it, check it off. Yes, I accomplished that goal. Another thing that I always throw in there is always build in a quote unquote failure into your goals. So like, for instance, it's, I'm going to exercise every single day for a month. Let's go back to that one. Well, what could happen that might sabotage that? Well, what if I get really, really sick? What if my family comes into town and I need to prioritize spending time with them? So I will have alternate goals that I could do. So if I get really, really sick and it's the point that I need to sleep all day, I will say my goal is really health. And so being kind to myself and sleeping counts as meeting my goal if I get really, really sick. Maybe the mental health is I'm going to give myself 3 days off because I know I'm going to need to spend time with somebody, or I'm going to need to work on a project, or I guarantee something's going to come up. So I get 3 automatic pass days. And then that makes it more likely that you're going to actually meet the goal. Then we also, we already kind of talked about making smaller goals rather than huge. So rather than making a goal, I'm going to exercise every day for a year, and you've never done that before, say I'm going to exercise every day for a week and see how that goes. And then that way, when I get to the end of the week, I will evaluate, I'll get the lessons, I'll see what strategies could be better. But if I meet that goal, I can immediately celebrate after a week rather than having to wait clear till the end of the year to celebrate anything. So anyway, sorry, I know I've been going for a while. I probably have other stuff, but I definitely want to hear what other people have to say too.
Awesome. Thank you, Holly.
Love that. Thank you.
You sparked a few more things. And just like Kevin put in the comments there is no failure, there's only feedback, and don't let perfect be the enemy of good. One of the ones I was going to share is, I've got it written on the wall right there. Instead of perfection, pursue excellence. And build that in. As you're looking at your goals, again, try to make them somewhat realistic. And if you don't achieve them, look at the metrics on it. What percentage of the goal did I achieve? What kept me from achieving the full goal? Is it possible for me to continue on and finish 100%? Did I pick an incorrect goal for me? Some people do that. While they're going down the pathway, Jordan Peterson brought this up. If you don't know what to do something. Because in the activity of doing something, you may realize you're on the wrong path. That's not a failure, that's an aha, that's a lesson. And ironically, it segues right into the third topic, using the mirror. Every now and then, part of the matrix, part of, or the metrics, and part of, taking the time and keeping track, achievable, being time bound, all the above, is looking in the mirror. Where am I at? That's why I brought up More Alive in 25. Having that day planner, having your goal laid out to where you can see if you're on track, versus I said I was going to have this done by August 1st, and here I am, and it's August 1st, and I've only got it 60% done. Well, if you look in the mirror, and like Holly brought up, if you were sick 3 weeks out of that, family showed up unexpected. They were having a holiday. We're going to be in your town. We're going to stop by for a week. Da, 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 da. And you start looking at the past. Did I waste away an entire month, or was an entire month taken from me somehow? Then you got global things that are out of our control. How many people found that in a couple of years ago? Yeah, I was going to build a house, and then all of a sudden, couldn't get product, couldn't get contractors, couldn't get da da da. Did they fail at the goal, or was the goal, did the metrics, did outside sources shift to the point of not being within their control? And then there's always going to be dealing with humans in their natural environment. Trying to run the marathon, and here the only people that aren't cheering you on are friends and family, and they're the ones throwing sticks at your feet because they think that the marathon is stupid. They don't understand your vision. They don't understand your goal. They're just trying to protect you, so they sabotage you as part of their attempt for protection. And so that's also part of building in self-awareness and how getting yourself ready for events like that. Especially if you've been around certain people long enough to where you understand that scorpions do what scorpions do. And if I announce, that's the other thing I was going to add for better resolutions. Having at least a few people that you tell your goals to. Keeping your goals private, they've found, tends to make them less achievable. You don't have as much skin in the game, you don't have as much accountability. So having an accountability partner, person to share these goals with, your timeline and everything of that, will give you a much better chance of actually seeing them come to fruition. Yes, Lenora.
I just wanted to put something out there. When, depending on who you tell about your goals or about the things that you want to achieve, and I like to caution people about it, because telling the wrong person and then somebody asking you about that can be interpreted to you as a criticism or as a shame or putting you down in some way. So when you're sharing your goals with people, know that they're asking you from the heart, like, hey, how are you doing with that? Can I help you in any way? What are your thoughts? And holding you, I don't know if the word is accountable, but holding you to say like, hey, I see you, I support you, and I want that for you. I don't know, accountable kind of seems more, it just isn't coming across the right way right now in my brain. So um I just like to make sure that when you're telling somebody that you want to do something, know that you're going to share this with this person and it's going to be a good experience, and that they're not going to put you down being like, oh, well, I thought you were going to do this. Or like, hey, how's your goal going? I'm really interested. I'm really
Yeah.
excited to hear how you're doing about with
And you
it.
touched on it exactly, is having the right accountability partner. Accountability is a great thing, but for those of you that have your tribe journals, you can add that into your tribe, that you have people in your tribe that know how to properly hold you accountable, where they can say, like you pointed out, Lenore, hey, you know that goal that you shared with me? How are you doing on that? And is there any way that I can help you with it? Versus, hey, I thought you were going to do this thing, and where are you now? Oh, behind? Yeah, because you're a loser. Loser! And I've had both. I think we all have. Again, dealing with humans in their natural environment, scorpions will be scorpions. And so having a goal like that, and another is I challenge you guys to have find a mastermind group, or 2 or 12. Get in, find groups of people that are smarter than you, that like to brainstorm, like to help each other. And if you can't find one, start your own. I've been blessed to be in a part of a couple of them, and they've progressed, and I moved, and all the above, and I'm gonna work on, this is kind of a mastermind group right here, and this is what I'm taught. I love this stuff. That's why we've got 104 episodes now. And that's also why I didn't want to be a talking head. I want information. I want people sharing. I want to challenge people. I want you all to get something out of the time that you're investing. So with using the mirror again, also utilize that as a metric on how far you've come along. Look back at where you're at, where you've come from, and allow that to help you with building your resolutions for next year as well. Like, wow, I remember when, I remember sleeping in a garage on the floor. But I also remember owning 20 acres of paradise at the end of a dead end just before that. I can use the mirror and look at that and be honest with myself. What can I improve on? What can I build up? Where can I go from here? And who do I want to be January 1st, 2025? What stories do I want to be able to tell? Do I want to change out some of the wallpaper behind me? Do I want to get some different certifications? Do I want to provide some of those for people? That's going to be on my goals for 25. Is I'm hoping, and I'm putting this out there, I want to teach at least 3 classes in 25. So I have to figure out when they're going to be and all the stuff that goes along with that, and get the syllabus tightened up. But that's me. What do you guys want to achieve? And we can check in with each other, and you guys are more than welcome to hold me accountable, because I trust you. Yes, Lenora.
I'd like to ask you a little more in depth of how are you planning that? And I see Lenora raised her hand, so maybe after that, if that's okay.
Well, so my question is, when you guys have a goal and you're thinking about it, do you, and this is something that I've been working to cultivate over time. I can have a goal and I will think about it, but I won't sit down and think about it. I'll just like keep trying to do something toward it. I won't actually sit and visualize and picture it and immerse myself in it on a daily basis. And I feel like that's something that would help me. So I don't know what you guys have as your general routine or a part of your routine of, this is what I'm working on. Here's the goals that I'm taking each day or 3 times a week to make progress toward that. Do you guys do that at all? What does that look like? Any guidance is appreciated.
Well, I think part of what's going to help is finding the right day planner, so that when you work back from January 1st, 2025, you've got a breakdown for what are your goals for the month, and you're already putting them in ahead of time. That way, when the first of the month rolls around, you know that you've already set that this is the month that I'm going to have these goals. You can then look back on the month that you just finished. Did I accomplish all the goals that I had set for myself for this month? Is there anything I need to clean up quick? And what's that time frame look like? How do I plan on achieving that? So you're not getting surprised. And it also gives you on January 1st, 2025, it's also kind of a mirror of itself, where you get to go back and start looking at it and allow yourself to go, okay, I got a lot done. Here's how I got it done. Now, how am I going to set up 2025? I've been uber guilty of running my year on autopilot, letting the squirrels tell me what I'm going to accomplish for the day. And some days I don't accomplish very much. And then there are some days where I'm like, holy banana peels, I got all those projects done in one day. What was the difference? Focus.
Mm-hmm.
And not worrying about how long do I think it's going to take me. I just dove in and went, okay, today I want to get this done. Wow, I'm already done with that. Oh, well, then I'll get this done. Oh, I'm already done with that. And like we had pointed out earlier, in just hammer down, getting after it, I realized that I had quite oftentimes over evaluated how long it was going to take me. So, and that puts us right at the top of the first hour, which means we are in the second hour. You guys have open platform, open mic, open topics, open questions. And let's see where we can run this machine.
What's your plan, TJ?
That's what we're setting up. That's what we're discussing. I've got 3 classes that one for sure I've already completely dedicated myself to, and that's a training class for based focused on real estate for real estate agents. I've got another one that I've got, I'd say 80% completed for restaurant staff. And then I'm going to put together one for if I can figure out what people want to learn for hypnosis.
Mm,
So those are my 3 main ones that I know that I can achieve and put in and
excellent.
get
Thanks
them
for
on the books. And I know that you do a lot of training and stuff like that. Do you have anything coming up that we need to know about?
I have my seminars and webinars every Thursday, but more importantly, I have a question for you,
Yes.
for the group. I'm not sure if Holly's here. Holly, if you're participating,
Holly's.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
excellent. So I would like to hear your opinion on this too. And this is what's coming up. So here's my question. I've been doing therapeutic work for a long time, say probably over 10 years. Even before that, I was doing martial arts and teaching people martial arts. Something that has happened to me recently is I decided to go to this organization called Sacred Sons, and that's where they do martial arts and therapeutic work. So men would go, but this is only men's group, okay? It's the same thing like MKP. It really focuses on shadow work, Jungian style, and the idea is that only men are allowed, and we go out in the wilderness and we would spar, train, and sometimes things would come up because people would feel very vulnerable after that, getting physical with another man who they haven't done that, maybe some of them in decades. And for me, a lot of people found that embodiment of masculine in me, and they also chose me to be one of the teachers, the facilitators. And that was, I think, the first time that I really came as a student to look at my shadows. And so I met this amazing man, this guy, Vince Chuffin, who is the leader, and he recognized some of the skills that I have, and I realized that I've been suppressing my masculine side for a long time because I was really embarrassed of that. I was embarrassed of the fact that I was feeling rejected by people, by groups, because a lot of men would feel insecure, especially smaller men who would not have any martial arts background. And I wasn't understanding the judgments they had until I joined some of the groups where these judgments were sort of shared in secure, safe environment. And I started to realize that, but this is the reality. I actually am getting rejected many times, or sort of judged for the masculine part of me. That has to do with weapons, guns, training, has to do with mixed martial arts, sparring. It has to do, sometimes it just has to do with the way I show up and talk to people. People judge that to be cocky. In fact, I'm just being myself, or they say confident. This is one of the things that people get from my seminars, is that confidence. Now, that's on the bright side. On the other side, there was a lot of shame around that. However, recently, I wouldn't be talking about this openly on a recorded video if I didn't deal with a lot of that shame that came up. And there's also the other part, the aspect of me doing therapeutic work with people. So now this brings me to really I feel like my purpose is what I want to do is I want to take these seminars that I have to next level. I want to totally put hypnotherapy on the side. Someone wants to be certified, great. They can still go through courses. I still certify people. I started 2017 first time. And just like that's really there are some people who want that, great, they can still come to the events and they can get certified as coaches, but that's not my priority. My priority is really healing and creating supportive groups, especially if I can do it in the city, to where people can get together and have some communication, because a lot of seminars people go, they meet and they have a great time, and then as time goes on there's less and less communication. Yeah, sometimes friendships are developed, but it's not as common as when people are in the same city. So, long story short, I've also started a new YouTube channel with so there's a couple questions here. What should I do about social media? Social media meaning I'm thinking about starting the brand new, everything new, and there's also fear that I feel about just starting from beginning, fear of just having like 2, 3, 5, 10 views, as opposed to in the past on my other channel, I remember video having, I think, 2 million views. So it's a big, I feel like making baby steps. And also there's this voice inside of my head that says, oh, you're old to do that right now. And you're not going to be able to teach martial arts because you're going to be 35 now. So there's that too. Just want to put it out there. And Jesus Christ, I'm not sure how to name it. So for me, first naming it, it's like I want to bring men and women, as opposed to like Mankind Project, they only have men. And I would like these groups to, for everybody to be welcome. And now, what are women looking for when it comes to masculine? I just talked to a good friend of mine, and she says, I would like to have more structure in my life, more strength, more power, more leadership, more confidence. What can women get from martial arts? Because there's a lot of resistance, but also the truth is that what we resist sometimes is what we need the most. So, and yeah, I'm really ready to take some steps here, and just want to hear what your guys' input. Yes.
I love all that you shared, Savo. And I feel like you and I are in a very similar boat with kind of shifting things, and also with social media. The fact that it feels so aligned for you, for me, I'm gonna fully support you and say continue to follow that. And if it feels like a good fit to restart a channel, people will keep finding you. But the people that follow you right now follow you for three reasons. They know you, they like you, and they trust you. And they continue to know you, they continue to like you, and they continue to trust you. So you've built that rapport with them. And to even if you say this is the direction that I'm shifting in now, that you're letting them know, and they still get to choose to continue to follow you, or say, oh, okay, you know what, that's not really aligned with me, I'm gonna step away. But you've already built that audience.
And you said because they trust you, they like you, and what?
They know you,
got it.
They like you, and they trust you. And because they know you, they like you, they trust you, they will continue to follow, as in listen to what you have to say, listen to what you want to say, listen to what you're sharing with them, because you've created that for them. So I would continue to use that to your advantage.
I can't use the other channel has so many people who don't speak English. That's the main problem.
I know you had a martial arts one at one point.
Yeah, that's what I started this one about. It's about confidence, and it's really frustrating that I'm putting so much more work that I'm like creating these videos, paying people to put the videos together. And before, in the past, I would just take a video and say some stupid stuff, and get like thousands of views at least. And right now I'm trying really hard, and it's like, so I don't know how can I advertise. I'm also ready to pay and to have this business promoted, but how can I promote my YouTube channel?
That part, that is definitely not my area of expertise, but in the building of a community of what you want. And people often tell me, who are you talking to, Lenora? When you're talking to somebody on camera, who is your ideal client? And I might not have an ideal client, but when I was preparing, or when I'm preparing for a talk, or when I'm making a reel, I'm thinking of a very specific person. And when I think of that person, or that person that I'm speaking to that wants to hear this information, it quite literally comes out differently versus me trying to address an entire room of people. And that I found to be something really helpful. So if you can get a bit more clear on, I know you said men and women, and even not your ideal client, that
tough.
person that you want to talk to today.
I'm so used to this in these groups doing it with men, so it's really tough to imagine. I wrote it down when you said, who's your ideal client? Great question. I definitely have to. I really don't know right now.
I know. I hear you. And I would say, who's that person today, or right now at 8:12 p.m. my time? Where you are in that space, see if that helps, because it's like, who's your ideal client? And you're like, I know so much, like that's really hard for me to narrow down, because I do like working with men. I do like working with men. I can do this. I can do that. So in that moment, where are you? And focus on that and see if it helps to shape where you want to go.
Got it.
I'm going to be quiet now because other people have their
hands
arms
up all over
up.
the place.
I guess I go. So, oh gosh, so many thoughts, and I love the passion. I love everything. Like seriously, this is getting me all excited too. So first of all, let's just start even with that ideal client thing too. I completely agree with that. It's one of the thoughts that comes to my mind when we talk about manifesting. Sometimes people are afraid to manifest because what if they don't like what they manifest when they get it? And I think the same thing kind of goes here too, that when you're looking for your ideal client, or you're looking to start a new channel or whatever, that doesn't mean you're all in on this and can't go back to what you had before. It doesn't mean you can't change your ideal client later on. So, feel free to experiment. And I will say, for instance, with social media, when you look at your ideal client, are they on YouTube? Are they on Facebook? Are they on TikTok? Are they, there's so many different places. Are they on Instagram? Where does your ideal client hang out? Do they like long videos? Do they like short videos? Do they prefer videos, or do they prefer maybe pithy quotes? If you could find that ideal client and really drill down on that and then just explore that, just because you start a new YouTube channel, which by the way is the right way to do it, because on YouTube especially, but this is true for probably all social media, the more niche you can be, the better. There will be growing pains. You may only get 5 views on the first video. Maybe you'll get 10 on the next one. But if you're consistent with your content and you keep going to the same client, those people are what YouTube is looking for is repeat views. So the question is, does the person who watched your first video also want to see what's in your second video, also want to see what's in your third video? And so it's great that you have your other channel. You don't have to give your other channel up to start a new channel. You're just making sure that the people who watch channel A like channel A, the people who watch channel B like channel B, if that makes any sense. And so it may take a bit for YouTube's algorithm to recognize, yes, this is a consistent channel. So posting on a consistent basis helps. And one of the ways you could do that, for anybody who has ever played with YouTube stuff, if you make, say, an entire year's worth of YouTube videos and put them on a timer to come out once a week, YouTube can see, oh yeah, this is going to be a consistent channel. The video's already uploaded and ready to go. So there's a lot of ways you could explore this. And if that YouTube video ends up not being what you really wanted, you can always start another channel with a different niche, a different goal. And like I said, once again, just because you start something doesn't mean you're so committed to it, you can never go back to something, you can never go forward to something. the entire world of possibilities is always open to you. As far as the masculinity stuff, I think that's a very underserved market right now. I think that Jordan Peterson, I think, has said we have a crisis of masculinity right now, because a lot of people talk about, I think where a lot of people get messed up on this is, you have masculinity, you have femininity. Well, masculinity and femininity, they both have their strengths, they both have their weaknesses. They both have their toxic way, and they both have their beautiful way of manifesting. And we look at somebody and we'll say, oh, and it can go for both right now. I think the focus is more on toxic masculinity, but what about the beauty of masculinity, the strength of masculinity? Like, these are needed in our society, and they're needed for men and women. Women need to be able to not be ashamed of their masculine side and their feminine side as well. I will say, especially with women, there's a very underserved market. A lot of people think women wouldn't go, for example, into martial arts, but the number of women I know that love martial arts and want more opportunities, there's tons of them. And the opportunities aren't there because people just think, oh, well, why would women want to get into this? And so that, there's nobody serving that market just because the people are judging that there isn't a market. And I could tell you firsthand, there is a market. There absolutely is a market there. But there's also a huge market for men learning to embrace their masculinity. And you talked a lot about judgment. I think another thing to remember, and I struggle with judgment and rejection sensitivity and all this sort of thing. You can do anything, and there's somebody who will judge you for it. If you are successful, there are going to be people who are judging you for being successful. If you're not successful, there are going to be people judging you for not being successful. A lot of this comes down, I think, to tribe. And if you're who you are, and you're not apologetic for being who you are. See, once again, there are some people who they choose not to embrace their power, and they need an excuse to do that. They need to feel good about that. And as a result, they tear everybody else down. As soon as they start embracing their power, they tear them down because, hey, as soon as you embrace your power, you remind me that I have power that I'm not embracing.
I appreciate your part about social media. I highly appreciate that. It's very important for me. I took a lot of notes. The part about what you're saying about acceptance and the way you see that, the advice there, I understand that. I know that it was more about just putting the emotion out there. I didn't necessarily seek advice.
That's fair. That's fair.
It-
But for anybody who's watching,
Right.
I think it's important that you surrender. It's going to come down to tribe, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Make it, and I think that's true for any success. If you've got a good tribe, that's going to be a huge part of your success. And if you've got the wrong tribe, that's also going to be a huge part of you not having success.
Mhm. Thank you very much.
Fran.
Holly, that was brilliant. And yes, you definitely need to do a masterclass on social media. That is so good. The whole world needs to know what you've got to share. However, Savo, to me, what comes over is this is your sacred space, and what you're sharing, your sacred space with the world and other people, and how men and women are going to respond to that. Yes, Holly's absolutely right. There's a lot of women who want to embrace that side of themselves. And it's what you're saying, the sort of keywords are a sacred shadow warrior. And to me, that resonates within me. And it's a quest that it feels like it's a quest that you're offering people to go on their own inner journey. And I think it's more important to start off with one or two people who actually are in alignment and understand what you're saying or want what you're offering in that sacred shadow warrior space, than having a lot of people. And you will have people come to you. It definitely is something that appeals to me. And there are a lot of women that have come from martial arts. And the thing that I found in martial arts for myself was that there wasn't that sacred space. It was a sport. It wasn't embracing the sacredness of it and the ethos of it. I searched for that, and I kind of found it in David Snyder. But if you can offer that, that to me is a huge world. So please, please, please get it started, keep it going. If there's only one or two, don't be worried. It's what the world's calling for, and it's what your heart is calling for. Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, this is much different than David Snyder's martial arts. So.
One thing I wanted to add to that is you can do easy redirect videos on your other channels. Just a quick headline of watch this quick, something new, and go on there and just say, hey, I've got a new channel, check it out. And you can do it in your other language and say, I've got this new channel. It'll be in English, but you can use closed captioning or whatever and put it in there. And in today's technology, language is not the barrier. It's finding the information in the ocean of information that's out there. And being you already have the channels and the viewers and the subscribers, it'll be much easier for you to highlight a real short video, 10, 15, 20 seconds, whatever, even if it's a 30-second video, and just letting them know, hey, got this new channel, check it out. And then start hitting your catch words.
Got it.
And,
what about the name?
And I'm going to challenge you on the idea that your age has anything to do with martial arts. I've attended trainings with all the way up to an 80-year-old instructor who impressively scared the bejesus out of me, because he walked up there and you'd have thought that you didn't have to worry about being around him because he'd probably just, fall over, until he started showing some of his moves. And I was like, I want you as my friend, not my enemy. Because I feel much safer around you as my friend. So let that also, I mean, your credentials are off the chart, my friend. You have that ability. So build it, they will come.
Got it. So you attended MMA seminar, martial arts seminar, where there was a guy who was about 80-year-old, and he was a teacher.
Dr. David holds a martial arts training once a year, and he invites a number of different instructors in. And because his name is right here, Leo Fong. Unfortunately, he passed away, I think, last year or the year before. But yeah, when he came in, you just like, wow, cool looking old man. And then all of a sudden he gets out there and he's throwing punches lightning fast. Like, whoo. But he also brought the knowledge and had the whole room mesmerized. And Norm Johnson, another one, Master Chris Thomas, who's a retired pastor. And I love people like that, because you look at Master Thomas and you're like, what a nice looking old man. Oh, and he's a pastor too. And he only has 5,000 ways to make you writhe in pain and cry and So you have a crowd out there. And yes, there were plenty of females in the class that excelled.
Mm,
So rock and roll. Let me know how I can help.
thank you, brother. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
This is so I'm just going to explain a bit about the work itself, and then, oh, this might give some of you ideas for your own seminars. So, but I'll explain what I learned by attending some of these events. So, the way it's structured, and the reason I'm asking this is because of the name. What kind of name could I give to right now on my YouTube channel? I have it's called something confidence boosting or something like that. The channel is called something about confidence boost or confidence building, whatever. And it's I'm trying to connect. The idea is I'm trying to connect this to embodiment of masculinity, which is actually the name of some of the courses that other people have, but without using the word masculinity, because it's really associated to men only, and there is shame around that I've witnessed that I think that women have shame around attending those kinds of seminars where there is majority of men. So that's maybe just a story in my head. Maybe it is the right thing to call it embodiment of masculine. However, here's what's about. Usually in the beginning, men would get around a circle, let's say average maybe 30 men would get around the circle. And if that's the number, sometimes we would divide it in two circles so we can easily check in. When people check in, this is how it starts usually. Everybody checks in with a feeling, what they feel, where they feel that feeling, what all of the submodalities of the feeling, what's the color, what's the temperature, what's the shape, if that feeling is moving, which way is it moving? Is it heavy or is it light? What's the weight of it? And all of the above. And once people connect with that individually, is encouraged to use I statements because it's really talking about the person. We are talking about ourselves. And we check in by saying, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm feeling. And if there is any story connected to that, briefly, everybody checks in within a circle. People have a right to say, to pass. There is also confidentiality rule that nothing can be taken out of the circle. Like this is only stays here. Everybody agrees by raising their hand or thumbs up. So with us is that's one of the first rounds. It's called Lover's Round because according to Jung, we have lover, magician, king, and the warrior. And then in the Lover's Round, and then we have something called charges. If a man has a charge with another man in a group, they would say either I'm clear of charges, or I have a charge. And if I have a charge with someone in a group, there is a very special way to facilitate. There is a staff that two people hold, and that one person would say all the charges they have, all the judgments and the feelings they feel. And in the end of basically this process, just to make this long story short, one person would visualize the shield, and the other person that has charges with that man would see that as a mirror, because everything that person sees in the other is what side of that. That's the idea of shadow work in Jungian parts. And so that the person would clear the charges, withdraw the charges from the man they had charges with, and recognize these charges within. This is called warrior round. And there's also men have accountability. Accountability is related to stretches that people make in a group. And so they check with each other. So let's say if Lenora said, hey, now tonight, by next week, I'm going to put 2 hours doing my online or promoting my business advertisement. Okay, great. So she checks in next time. So there is something called support accountability. So maybe Jade is going to say, hey, Lenora, you just are you open to hear about my support accountability for you? Did you do those 2 hours of online work? And That's also a part of that. So that's called warrior round. We are really like the idea is the responsibility. The idea is to stay in integrity, is to do what we say. And it's also called warrior because this is the masculine, strong part of us that just gets stuff done in the world. And the third round is magician round. So this is the round where my idea is to leave this round, magician round, after the physical work. So after people go do the martial arts, after people get physical, after people do the dance, we have dance, we have different activities that we do physically, a lot of Chinese medicine work too, and qigong. After that, people would jump in the magician round. Magician round is all about work. It's about what is my work statement. So TJ, what is your work statement? TJ goes, my work is to, by 2015, have these seminars, and that's what I would like to work on. And then he says, from 1 to 10, I would like, this is 10 for me. It's like a burning desire, 10 being burning desire, 1 being, I don't care about it at all. And so he says, this is 10. Okay, great. Then Lenora, then Jade, then Fran, then Holly. We all have some work. And so we state our work statements. This is magician round. And this is the round people get in a circle, inside of the circle, and they choose a facilitator. Now, shadow work is really interesting because the way this is done, it's like, I can stop if I'm not going too far. If you guys want me to just kind of wrap it up, or you want me to explain this round. Because I've been thinking for a while.
You can't explain half the machine and then leave us alone. So
yeah, there's 2 more rounds, and I it's just taking time at this point.
It's okay.
I was out of my timeline being in the moment.
Well, hit us with the last 2 so we understand the full.
Let me know if there is anything. I'm also sharing this primarily so I can really get advice from you, and also so you guys can understand this kind of work. I think it's beneficial for people. Some people, especially people who are more into teaching seminars. So the third round is magician round. Everybody states work statement, and people say how much time it would take. So maybe TJ says, I think it would take me like 20 minutes with an experienced facilitator. Okay, cool. So we know how much time it takes for whom. And usually people that have privilege to work first are people who have this burning desire, like let's say 9 or 10, something really burning that they need to solve right away. And they choose a facilitator. Now, this is really interesting part. So let's say if we were in a circle, if we were in person right now having this same event, then all of us would be here kind of next to each other in a circle formed so that everybody can see 2 people next to them. It's really a circle so everybody can see everybody else. And so let's say I would come up and say, I have this work to do around shame, around teaching martial arts, right? And then maybe one of the people tonight would be either a king or the queen. And say, let's say if Jade was a queen tonight, she would say, okay, Sava, would you pick a facilitator? And I would say, yeah, TJ, are you open to facilitate me? Now I'll also say maybe, hey, Holly, can you also facilitate, can you help TJ? So now I have 2 facilitators. I'm inside of the circle. Everybody else is around, creating safe space. And that's where the therapeutic work starts. It's a beautiful part, especially when we do it in nature. There's so many things we do, things like trustful, things like, physically throwing rocks or hitting the punching bag or just letting the anger out in so many ways, crying it out, whatever, dealing with, inner child, holding the pillow, or, we have something we call guts, bag or guts work. We have so many different, stuff that we use for therapy. So it's like some of the things that can be like chains, like people feel, I feel chain, I feel heavy. There's like literally we put weights on people's shoulders and like chains in the hands, and as they're going through the stuff they're going through, they're liberating themselves, they're having physical experience of the therapeutic work. Or let's say like 6 of us would hold hands like this, again, one across each other, and one person would go in the middle, break through, and the people that are holding hands would be stating negative beliefs that this person picked up from childhood. So as this person is breaking through, the person that's doing the work, they would, people who are talking about negative beliefs they received from their mother or father, they would kind of shut up, and the person would break through, and they would hug the facilitator that's waiting in the end of the line. So those kinds of things. it's a lot of really powerful usage of this, the physical experience that has to do with therapy. And also maybe if TJ is facilitating, he would say, some issues would come up, let's say, around my mom, saying, no, Sava, you have to take care of your family. You have to make money first. This is important. You're not making enough money. You're never going to amount to making enough money. You're never going to do it, right? So that's something that can actually resonate with me that my mom was saying. And so I say, TJ, so TJ hears that, and he says, is there anybody here in this audience that reminds you of your mom? And let's say I say, friend reminds me of my mom. And I say, friend, are you open to hold the energy of my mother? And then she comes out in the center, right? And so now I'm having a dialogue with the mom. So what would mom say? Go shift places, switch places, whatever, what's the position? And then someone could represent my dad. So that's the magician round. It's really active. And this is why another thing that I wanted to share with you. That's why, because there's a lot of bringing, these practices involve body, involve the work, involve not. So when we pull the feelings out, this is something really interesting, because David Snyder is like, okay, where is the feeling? Take it out, spin it out. The way we do it is we have these long ass towels, the different colors. And so let's say if Lenora says, like, I have this red energy and it's stuck right here in my body, then maybe me and TJ would get behind and hold the towel, and she would have to pull that towel out and see that energy literally leaving her body, and get another towel that's whatever, maybe blue, and then put it there and stay with it for a while. So those kinds of experiences that really involve a lot of physical activities. Cool. That's magician round. Last round is king round. This is the round of blessings. This is where we also state, this is how we close seminars too. Like, what are the blessings for other people that you have? It really raises the energy, like it really creates a beautiful, also brings a lot of lover energy of appreciation. And yeah, just acknowledgments. What acknowledgments do you have? TJ, I have acknowledgement for you. Thank you for holding space every week. And then I feel this, and I share that with you. I give you that blessing. And then also the shadow work says, whatever goal you have for another person, that goal exists inside of you. So that by recognizing, that's like, it takes one to know one. If you spot it, you got it. So it feels really good. That round builds a lot of energy. And so as we go towards the end, we kind of close with checking out. So same thing, when we check in the beginning with a feeling, we check out with a feeling. So yeah, massive full body somatic release, Lenora says. That's exactly right. And so when we check out, this is a beautiful opportunity to see the difference before, when we started the seminar, and when we are done with it. So I'm checking out, feeling grateful for the group, feeling powerful, feeling empowered, feeling great, and also feeling maybe some fear. And that's okay too. That's welcome. And that's the kind of stuff that we do.
Awesome.
I'd just like to pop in and say that's amazing.
Pretty good stuff, huh?
Yeah.
I did come up with,
Absolutely.
some of these stuff I came up with, and some of these stuff already existed. Yes, true.
Jake.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that to be able to get so many people to like come together to take part, and that is really, really cool. I think we can do so much work internally with hypnosis, and at the same time, we're also having a physical experience. And so I think it's really cool that you're including that sort of physical experience that a person might not be able to normally have. And it creates a sort of like community to have a safe place to do the physical actions. I think so. I think it's really interesting. I think it's really cool. I just wanted to say that.
But in there, it feels like a retreat experience, because it's stunning experience. When you do these, Savo, are they 2 hours? Are they 3 hours? Are they 1 hour? Clearly, I'm having a response.
When I do it now, I do it 6.5 hours, 1.5 hour lunch break, which is 5 hours work.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's actually happening now. Every Saturday I have these classes, and about 20 people come in person, and yeah, sometimes we do it in the place, my conference room where I do therapeutic work, and sometimes we go out in the nature and we do these activities.
That's amazing. It even feels like, as you, and it may be something kind of like put a feather in your hat about it for an experience like this. This could be a 3, 4, 5, 7 day experience, depending on how you structure them. Because even in the spaces that you've created, so think about this: you're doing this in 5.5 hours. People people would get massive change in that experience just in those 5 hours. Think about what you could offer in 3 days, 5 days.
Yeah. TJ, I just want to share one more thing with you, brother. I mean, I was gonna text you and share this with you, but I can just do it here if you're open. One of the things that I learned from my mentor that I never learned from anybody else, and you guys know who all kinds of people and famous hypnotherapists that I studied with. One of the things I learned from this guy, Vince Chaffin, he taught me how to include everybody in therapeutic work, to where one person is processing in the middle of the circle, and they're going through shit, they're going through tears, there's the pain, and they feel pain in their heart. And what Vince would do, he would say, anybody who feels this, first he would encourage everybody to share the really fucked up parts of themselves, and he would do this by saying, who else has here that one that says I'm not good enough, right? And then he would say, okay, big round of applause for that. So he would encourage that, and so he would see something like, whoever says that, that they don't have it, they're probably lying, hiding, and doing the same shit they are doing. So he would empower that, it create really vulnerable open space. And when that person is processing in the center of the circle, man, then he would say, okay, now everybody, whoever has that part, let's go ahead and place your hand right there. And you wouldn't believe what magic can be created, brother. Like there's like 20, 30 men. They're all hugging each other. It's like super trancy experience, because this stuff doesn't happen in the real world, ever. It's like, 30 men, they're all hugged and they're all processing and crying. And I was, wow, like if just, yeah, that's
Uber cool. I'm glad you shared that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
How do you think we can name?
Go ahead.
We can name that work?
Well, that can be a great little project for the week. See who comes back with the best names next week. Fran.
Well, this is a real small thing compared with what Sava's just laid on us, but I've come across a really exciting content-free therapy, and I'm still learning lots about it. So anybody that's interested, because I think this is revolutionary stuff, please come along to the next hypnosis group meetup, or keep an eye on the advertising for it, because I think it's something that will be featured, and I think it's something that we should do live and not put the recording out. If people want to know about it, that they find a way to get there. And I know that's not fair for USA people, but we're negotiable. But I think I did a small experiment with it last meetup, and it's really powerful and changes all my preconceived ideas of how I do hypnosis now. So
cool.
Keep this space open and come and play.
That's one of the big things that I love about this group, this technology, this realm, is there's no limit. That people can come up with some of the most amazing protocols, techniques, ahas, epiphanies, and share them. And we're not taking the light away from anybody else. It's that saying of when a candle lights another candle, it doesn't diminish its flame. And the more we can help people in our community, the more we end up helping the world, one at a time. That's another reason why I wanted the second hour to be what can you share? What kind of questions do you have? How can we help each other? Because in helping each other, how many more people do we get to help? Winning! And I know that Lenora had a topic at the very beginning. And she's like, and I'm processing like
He
crazy.
said one sentence and I went off the deep end.
Whee!
Savo, I think our moms said the very same thing to us. Sorry guys, I'm burping. What I was going to share was when people get upset with you about aspects of yourself and then they end up judging you for it, I'm noticing that you're almost activating something in them, and that's why they're coming at you so harshly. And then you're feeling judged, and you're like, well, I didn't do, like, why are you upset with me all of a sudden? What? I didn't do anything wrong. And it's because they're having an emotional response because of the way that you are, and that you're happy with it, and that they don't accept you for it because they're then feeling inadequate. And it was like this very big, deep understanding of shaming and guilting people, and then them making you feel bad for the things that make you happy. And that's where it was. And it seems like other people were touching on this. And I know Holly had mentioned that she was experiencing something like that too. I don't know if you guys have experienced that.
Well, I've got an hour's worth on that. 2 words: protective empathy. It's much harder for people to affect you with their judgment when you have protective empathy. When you understand that the anger, the judgment, the whatever is something that they saw in the mirror of you, that is part of themselves, it's much easier for you to go, I wish you could heal it the way I did. I wish if there was a way that I could help you get past this the way I have. I understand why you're hurting. That's why those of us that have done so much self-work, shadow work, all the above, it's harder for people to attack us effectively because we can look at them and go, wow, you're hurting, or wow, there's a story in there somewhere. And when it's a family or a friend or something like that, and you understand that sometimes they're simply hurt because we're no longer the person that they built the box for. Well, how dare you change and progress? And they feel like you've left them behind, or they are judging themselves in what they haven't accomplished by looking at what you have. Fran.
I think that can be an experience of grief because at times, because the person that they held dear just isn't that person anymore, and they do experience a personal loss in
Yes.
themselves. So, maybe we need to be more understanding and not just say, oh, be happy for me, I'm now this better person. They've lost something special and dear to them. And maybe that needs honoring too.
And I think along with that, when it reflects in what they haven't done, they have two options. They can be mad at themselves or they can be mad at you. Which one's easier? And I've seen best friends when one accomplishes a goal quicker, a goal that they had both talked about back in the day, but one accomplishes it quicker, they have two options: get better or get bitter. And a number of them, because they haven't done the self work, they just simply get bitter. And that's when the judgments come in. You're like, well, all I did was improve myself. Yes, and you did it faster than I did, or you did it da 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 da. And we can't let that become an anchor or a chain attached to us. Send them love and sympathy. I'm sorry that you're upset because of my achievements, but I'm certainly not going to dim my light because you can't figure out how to make yours brighter. I'll gladly share my light on the pathway to help you figure out how to improve yours, but I'm not going to dim my light because it's too bright for you. Fran.
Just thinking along those lines about improving your life and difficulties between people. Again, this is another area where Court of Atonement, I'll put the details in the chat, jumps in and really shines its light with personal difficulties like that and really eases them. And I have to brag that I've had the best, or maybe the only Christmas that I've really enjoyed for years, because I did a Court of Atonement process. To me, for years and years, Christmas has been something I've just wanted over, go away. And it's actually taken the boogeyman out of it now. And I had a nice day. And thank you to all you wonderful people for getting me to the point where I actually did something about it. And Court of Atonement was my way through. So I'll put that in the chat too. Thanks.
I need to point out, I've had a number of people now who have utilized Court of Atonement and gotten great results out of it. So major kudos, and I like what Elijah put in here was, we or they need to learn to let go of what we or they cannot control. Worry about the things you can control. That's a big enough plate the way it is. Worrying about things you can't control, that will always be there. When you finally control everything that you have control over, then you can decide if there's something from the other plate that you might want to try to tackle. But as long as you stay busy with what you have complete control over, chances are you'll be busy enough the way it is. It's kind of like getting mad because it's raining outside. All right, then go shut the rain off. Well, I can't. Then there are better ways to use that energy. Learn how to dance in the rain. It's going to rain anyway. We got 5 minis left. Anybody else got anything they want to share? Questions? Something we can toss in quickly?
Just what an amazing group all you wonderful people are, and thank you for your amazing sharings. And Savo, you've really inspired us today as well. Thank you.
It's what I love about this group, and yes, Elijah, Happy New Year to you as well, my friend, over across the pond. I just want to throw this out here. It continually humbles me in such an impressive way that we on this platform can have people from all over the planet come together and share on this small platform. And this being the last triple T of 23. Wow. Thank you. And I don't even have the vocabulary to tell you exactly how I feel about 2 years of you guys coming here and sharing your time and your talents and your input and your advice and your knowledge, not only with the people here, but with the recordings, the people on YouTube. Okay, here it comes. And the fact that my mom gets to watch this and tell me what she gets out of it. So, a little early for all this, but you guys are awesome. I hope that anybody and everybody in the world has the opportunity to build a tribe like this one, to feel what I feel right now, to be able to brag about you guys the way I get to get to tell people about you guys. I do. I brag about you all the time. And I'll tell you something. I'm torn big time about how big of a group I want. I hear about people that have hundreds of people that join the meeting. And as much as my ego would love that big boost, my soul loves this core group. Because I know that on this platform we can say anything. We can open up our souls, we can ask questions, we can share. Yeah, that moment when you realize you already have all you need. Amazing. So, my dear friends, love you, Mom. Until next year, for Triple T number 105, love and blessings. Every part of my existence adores all you guys. And looking forward to what we can accomplish in 24 so we can brag about who we've become on January 1st, 2025. Until next week, take care. Be kind to yourself and each other. Go out and make the world a much better place. And I'm looking forward to seeing you and your smiles. Love, and all that good stuff.
Awesome, Triple T. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, TJ.
Good night, TJ. See you next week.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, TJ, everyone. Bye-bye.